Okay, this Hangout is live. All right, and then I need to put a link to this in the general. All right. Sorry, my computer is crawling here.
Hey, Justin.
Oh, hey, Justin. Share my screen. Whoa. Oh, well, probably helps if I minimize that.
How far down does the rabbit hole go?
Right, pretty far. What was that? Here we go. All right. Wow, that is a short list. That seems not right. But maybe not. Well, we'll just let's see. How is this? Cool. Issue open, no milestone, no project. Yeah, I guess that's that looks, yeah, looks right. Okay, so we're gonna start from the top here. Service data path should be configurable. Oh, yeah, this just came through. So they want to be, so right now everything just goes to HAB service, and he's suggesting that we make this configurable. There is an undocumented way to make this configurable by setting the FS root environment variable. I'm not sure that is something that we really want to encourage. But we could. And I think that's probably, I mean, that probably is the best way to do it if you want to make it configurable, to go ahead and change that FS root. We should add that to the documentation. I'm just trying to think if there's anything that could bite us by making this by making this configurable, by putting it somewhere else. Oh, hold on one second. Let me let's see.
I can send it to him if you want to keep going.
Oh,
or if you got it already.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. It's in.
I don't know if we should broadcast the join link.
Yeah, I'm gonna DM it to him.
I know, but it's on your screen as we're broadcasting right now.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll take care of that. Thanks, 1 sec.
I appreciate it.
I just didn't know I cannot hear you.
Yeah, you're very quiet, Justin. So yeah, we can certainly, here, I'm gonna put. Oops. Why is my
Hey, Nathan.
Hi. Oh, today's the last day for Google Effects app. Put on full effects today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just going to comment about it here. There's been some, we've had some talk about this environment variable and some issues with it being, some issues with making, basically with some dangers of exposing it. I just can't remember off the top of my head what those issues are. So I'm not sure if we want to, honestly, I'm not sure if we really want to do this or not. We can socialize this some more.
I've got some context on this if you want, Matt.
Yeah.
So that environment variable is typically just recommended to be used in development only purposes. We shouldn't, it's not supposed to be exposed for public consumption. Habitat makes a lot of assumptions around the directory structure that it's operating within. And setting that will that'll fuck that up basically really badly. Keeping the data in a directory outside of the services directory is something that would be all right, but it's not something that is configurable right now for because you could literally just mount the data directory, like if you're trying to mount a volume and you want it in that data directory, you could mount it there. It doesn't have to be in var, right?
And it doesn't even have to be in a separate file system. You could just bind mount. So like if bind mounting doesn't work, then we should figure out why. But otherwise, like, you could totally do that.
Yeah. Anyway, with that said, the decision to keep everything in /hab was meaningful, but the data of the app, it's probably possible for it to not need to live there. Like, we could potentially move the service directory another place.
Couldn't you? You could also symlink it too, right? I mean, that's what most people do to handle this particular scenario. Doesn't that sound right?
Just to add some context, Justin, I think his microphone is not working, so he's updating in Slack. It's from a colleague of his. Some schedulers support mounting persistent volumes to specific paths. We'd like to put persistent data in that volume. Bosch has all persistent data under var/vcap/data, and some schedulers have constraints on where persistent disks are mounted. There are default conventions.
Right. So, I mean, the thing is that we're going to run up to a number of tools that are like, no, I must put my data here. And we've constantly fixed that. Like, in literally, we rebuilt a Linux distro, and every single app we've fixed that in pretty much. The thing is around configuration management tools is that they don't come before Habitat. Like in our design, you get into a root fight basically. So like if you're trying to run Chef or Puppet and Habitat, they'll just stomp on each other. So what we're envisioning is that you run your configuration management as a service within Habitat, and its data lives in a service directory, just like, you know, instead of var vcap data, it would live in hab svc bosh var vcap data. Is that something that you could do, Justin? All right, your mic's still off. You want to type it, and then I'll read it. I'll narrate it.
Maybe go ahead and type it in the group chat.
Yeah. It's going to be easier to have this conversation when your mic's on. So like, we don't need to close this issue hard right now if you have a vested interest here too. Oh, you can't hear me.
Oh, huh. Well, we can definitely keep this open and just move on. Is there a label I should give? Let's see.
Let's just put discussing on it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad that Justin mentioned this, because I was just going to cold and closing. But we can have a discussion around it.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll just keep that open. This was one that I actually opened this just because this is something that's Windows specific. It's something that we should definitely do for people that would ever want to use this in production on Windows. However, this should be. I'm going to attach this to the project because it should just be on the backlog. Okay. Oh, there's all these. I could have sworn I put all these on the backlog.
Oh man, that's all right.
Okay. Oh, this one's not mine. Okay, have package bin link should
Someone hear me
default.
now?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Awesome. I don't know. I restarted Chrome like 3 times and now suddenly you hear me. Okay, but continue. We can come back to the other thing later.
All right.
Well, we hadn't even gotten started on this. Why don't we go back to this issue and continue our discussion about this one. So Jamie, you had mentioned a possibility that you were asking Justin about. What was that again?
Oh yeah. All right. So I don't know how much you were able to hear of the previous.
I heard you guys talking, but
Okay.
I was frustrated that I couldn't be heard.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So it's a convention of ours to store all data generated by services inside Hab SVC, the name of the service, var, whatever. It's also our belief that configuration management systems like Chef, Puppet, Bosh would be run as a service within Habitat, since they both are kind of like these root required systems, and you don't want them to have a root fight over your file system or processes or sockets. So would it be possible for you to run Bosh as a service within Habitat and have Bosh write to Hab SVC Bosh var?
No, that wouldn't make sense because Bosh orchestrates the IaaS layer. So it brings up VMs and it mounts persistent volumes into the VMs. It can even migrate data from one volume to another. It'll like mount one, transfer the data, so you have a bigger volume, and then mount that one where the other one was. And all that for the persistent stuff happens under var vcup data by convention. Mm-hmm. And all services that it runs should put everything that needs to be persisted across a VM lifecycle. If the VM gets blown away or something and you want something persisted, it has to go into that. Also, I know like the Nomad scheduler also has a convention of every job you run on Nomad gets like a slice of a file system that it has write access to. That can also be put under any path. The root of that tree that gets sliced out to the services can be put under any path, but then inside the services that Nomad runs, for example, it could be Habitat cluster being on the Nomad scheduler. It also has a convention of where into the container it mounts that persistent area. And I think it's like /nomad/ something. So those are at least 2 cases I know of where there's a convention of put your persistent data here.
Okay. Well, Fletcher, to bring you up to speed a little bit too. I know you just joined. We have made a decision to put everything in /hab, but I think that data generated by a service, there's no. I don't think there's any hard requirement. Like if we allowed it to be configurable, I think that would be okay.
So the hard part might be configurable at what point. So at runtime might not necessarily work because depending on how the software might have been prepared, built, or configured, it might be like compiled in to go to that absolute path no matter what. And that wouldn't be something you could necessarily, or you'd have to know how to train every app at runtime. Like that's partly why we did that, is we had to figure out where does the service related data go. there are also some plans out there that potentially might use a hard-coded path to that, which is not something I particularly like to see. But I know, talking with Adam in the past, he's like, it's always going to be the same place. So if they do it, at least it's stable.
Yeah, that's what we have those helpers for.
Right, and that's why I sprinkled a lot of like helpers in at build time and at runtime. So like there's always a variable that you can always put in. Now there could be an alternative to this, and I don't know if it's totally a solution, but either when initially provisioning or when you're setting the system up, either soft links, hard links, or volume mounting, you might be able to just put that persistent data at the right place anyways. I don't think there's anything in Habitat that would prevent you for like mounting hab svc out, maybe even like /hab, but even if it's like /hab svc PostgreSQL, if you know that's your package, or symlinking that directory back to something under vcap. Like I'm not 100% sure that would always work. It may depend on the app, but I have a feeling it might work reasonably well in most cases.
It would probably work. We just didn't go forward with it before having this discussion because I thought that having data be put into a configurable place would be a quite typical thing. But if there's hard-coded paths lying around and apps that need that at build time, then of course that doesn't really work.
Yeah.
So then we can go with a symlink or something.
So I mean, the interesting thing for me to hear this is Habitat makes assumptions. Bosch makes assumptions. Nomad may make assumptions, and we're not even done yet. So like every system basically wants to control this, which is totally interesting. So we're no better or worse than any other system in that respect. But it's something, I guess, pragmatically in the Habitat world, we need to know. We need at least options for people. And I guess my first would be like, how much control do you have over file system mounts and that kind of thing? Which is just, that's nothing more than like cheating and faking out the system, but it's it's pretty appropriate sometimes.
Yeah, sure. We have a way forward. That's no problem.
Yeah. So if there is no way forward with tricking the file system, we can always revisit this, I think, right? But it is ideal if the things go where they are right now.
Yeah, I guess a good answer would be if we understand this sufficiently well and we have a really nice page in our reference documentation that explains like, so you need a path or you need a volume, like basically this question, and then we can answer that in a way that says, this isn't an easy solution, but here's some things you could do.
Yeah. We also absolutely need to put some sort of documentation on like not frequently asked question, but like, how do I do this thing? Like whatever the path is out of this is going to be a question that people come in from those areas with, and we want to make sure we have the answer ready for them.
So yeah, I mean, one thing that might be controversial is Habitat lives under /hab, which is like an absolute path that follows no operating system conventions. And we did that for a few reasons, but like one is like Habitat's not destined only for Linux anyways. It's already running on Windows. And so if we're going to annoy like Linux the FSH, standard, we're just going to annoy everybody consistently. At least.
Yeah, it's going to be at #/.
But if you're a Habitat consumer and user, like it's all at the same place, and the operating system that it's on doesn't matter. It's all in the same place. So that's kind of why we shot for it the way we did.
All right. So so I just added a note here that based on what we just said, that it sounds like you should be able to work around this, basically just by tweaking your mounts, and we can always reopen it if it doesn't work out. Does that sound reasonable?
Yep.
I'd love to see the results of this, by the way, Justin, and I'd love to help you if you can't find your way out.
Sure. I'll let you know. We'll probably start trying to run some of our Habitat packages on Bosch, and we'll see how that works out.
Sounds good.
All right.
Oh,
so,
this one's for Fletcher here.
Yeah. 1920.
Yeah, I can't remember where we left with this one. Clearly, it's not settled. Oh, look at that. A block of text.
By the way, I think I opened this on behalf of Lamont.
Right. It's your fault. No.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah, this was originally one car that had a few separate issues, and you split them out, right?
That's right. And from what I remember, Lamont had a pretty reasonable case, which is the Mac security model and current OSs might actually prevent this anyways. Which is kind of my bad because I've been too busy with Habitat to upgrade my Mac to the latest. So I am running an older version.
So let's see. So this was last talked about over a month ago. It's like, looks like you had removed this from accepted minor. I guess it was unaccepted minor. We removed it. You remember why we did that, Jamie?
I wanted us to discuss it again.
Okay.
It needed to be solved, and this was my way of making that happen. I knew that I did something to this ticket to make sure we talked about it, but I couldn't remember. So there it is. Basically, we just need an answer here. Like, to me, it sounds like user local bin is the place you'd want to put this, right?
I think we could probably make that change, after however many months. That's this year, March, right? There is one pass we're going to need to make just internally through our code base to make sure we've got no important assumptions made on that particular path. But I guess I would prefer it being always the same rather than an at runtime in a particular environment to make these fallback decisions. Because that means that I don't actually know where I could count on it going. So for me as a user, what I would do if I know it's going to do something magical for me is I would always use that destination flag. So I guess that I would kind of probably come back to Nathan's original thing, which is defaulting it to user local bin.
Yeah.
And probably just be dumb. That's where it goes, whether or not that's even on your path. That's kind of why we settled on bin, or that was one reason, is it's almost always on your path. But I mean, we could warn, but again, this is something that is normally a drive-by command you're probably doing in some kind of provisioning or setup. So at that point, if it's sort of doing the wrong thing or putting it in the default location that you haven't set up on your path, you're not quite set up anyways.
So I'll put this back in accepted minor. Sounds like that's.
Yeah, we can remove discussing. It's an enhancement that we have to make now, or chore easy.
But yeah, I would have rather this come up as an issue, this doesn't work under Mac. Then I'd be like, okay, we're fixing an issue, as opposed to to me this feels a bit more like noodling with a convention or a default that. Yeah, that's I guess why I keep flipping back and forth, is unless I know we're breaking anybody, I'm totally happy with it the way it is, but we can change it.
Yeah, I think that clears us out. Let's see, we've got some pull requests that we can. Yeah. Oh, yep. You can say something, Nathan?
I gotta switch Wi-Fi. Sorry. Do we do any triage on core plans, or what's the deal with core plans in relation to this?
Actually, if I remember from maybe last week, that was floated as something we could look at is if we were kind of caught up with the main one is look at some in core plans. At some point, we're gonna have to dial that in a bit more regularly, or if it becomes so much higher volume, we can just have another short session for just dealing with those maybe.
That's right. Yeah, Ian had mentioned that last week.
Yeah, there's not a ton of stuff on there, but I just don't, and half of them are from me anyway. So
I see where you're going. Are there any that you're interested in right now, or ones that are kind of blocking you on something?
No, I made a core plans maintainers alias in Slack, and I pinged some people, and I got most of the things I needed approved already today. But I just wanted to make sure that. I was just wondering if that was a thing we talked about here.
Yeah, it might also be like there might be a different audience too. That would be. It might make sense actually to split that out into a separate.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of disagree at this point. I think at some point that's going to be true, but right now it's probably not.
Yeah, that's fair.
I need to jump off, unfortunately, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. We can take a look at some of these PRs. We still have a pretty significant amount of time. Not that we have to take up the entire time. I know some of these are just kind of stuff that I know is out for review. Like now I know you're looking for review on this. It looks like you're
running Rust format on it right now.
Okay. Yes.
Oh, is there some Rust code in that?
I don't think so. It's just changing to building.md, but apparently that triggered a failure.
No, that's hilarious. So either something snuck through and our linting is doing something it maybe shouldn't, or
right.
I just wonder if just restarting a Travis thing might clear that.
Yeah, I'll give that a try.
Let's see. Add API for package stats. I think this was something that. Oh, that's right. Salim just put this out.
He wins. It's pretty good.
Why is my computer stuck? Come on. Okay.
All the CPUs going into making that GIF dance.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to actually, I mean, we know that this is something that we want to add. Salim's working on that. I don't know if that's worth really covering here. Let's see. This might be interesting. Fixed spelling machine. This might be something we could talk about because I looked at this, and so I'm not a Bash person, and like the spelling mistakes are, I mean, of course.
Oh my gosh, this is me personally. I misspell this word 80% of the time. And I bet you those Git blame lines are me. I hate that word with a burning passion.
Which one? Which word?
Package. And you can see it's probably the consistent spelling mistake. It's like CA instead of CKA.
So the only thing the reason why I didn't just automatically approve this is I was hoping somebody else that was more had better Bash than I did. Like I don't know. I mean, I trust George knows what he's doing, but it just seems like as an approver, I don't want to like just approve this as somebody that's. I mean, I could look it up and all that. But
I can take a quick look, but we're in the have plan build, right? Yeah. In that case, he's made a good addition. So the problem is in most places in our code base when we're dealing with shell code, we're dealing with GNU Bash like 4 point whatever. So like really modern GNU Bash. That's what the build program uses. There's very few places like the studio code base is BusyBox's SH. So it's like not at all Bash. So that's where you need to be more careful. But because we're in the plan build, the double square brackets are actually like a slightly nicer test pattern. It can handle like raw variables and stuff better, and there's better doing like double equals and ands. So yeah, that's actually a good tweak. That's probably stuff just missing from style reviews over time.
Yeah,
I can take a quick look, but the quick
and
path as you're going
check.
down is looking good. Oh, there was a plural settings. Yeah, I caught that.
Shell check will tell you to use the double braces usually too. So,
Oh, okay.
some of those might be shell check.
Well, so in the README of Habitat, there's actually in the resources, I linked an article that talks all about single and double square brackets and the difference, because I didn't fully appreciate it until one day when I went looking and realized, oh yeah, we should use that everywhere, at least in here.
And it looks like the only other thing that's not spelling is this, which makes total, like this, I know, makes total sense.
Ah, yeah, that is a better tweak altogether.
And this actually looks interesting right here. It looks like we had oh, I see. He's changing. Oh, he's just making it rather than a negatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just go ahead and approve this right now.
And I think I have a feeling I will catch any problems here awfully quick, because the work I'm doing right now is I'm basically running off master. So
cool.
Man, yeah, I hate that word package. It's hard to work in a packaging system with that word all day long. And dependencies. That's such a long word.
Oh yeah, dependencies, yes. Okay, I think Ryan slacked that we skipped his PR. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, right, of course. Okay, I saw this like in my notifications, but I haven't even really looked at it. So don't fail when directory exists. In some situations, directory is your phasers.
Yeah, what does that change look like? That seems totally right to me.
Well, just one line.
Oh, actually, the other thing we can do is, so that will work, although I'd probably prefer to see an if in there. Like that technically works. There are some style things in the plan build that I kind of like to see, which is more straightforward shellcode isms, so that if people are learning this for the first time, they don't have to know what, like that short-circuiting test. They don't need to necessarily understand that. I think just adding a -p to the make dir, though, that'll create parent dirs all the way up, but if there's something already there, it's a no-op. So that might actually be a slightly tighter fix.
It would create parent dirs, and it won't bomb if the
That's right. It's like idempotent in that way that like you can always run that, and if the directory exists, it's a no-op. You'll see in some places in this program, we sometimes do make dir -pv, and the V's for verbose. So the only difference is if it does create it, it like writes a line out saying I created a directory. So when you're like building stuff, that's sometimes useful, which is why we have it in some places. But a -p like gets rid of a conditional, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that. Okay. Let's see. Just get this. Why is it still showing up? Oh, probably because it hasn't actually. The Sentinels hasn't actually merged yet. This is a work in progress. What is this? Update. Oh, okay. I remember seeing this, and again, not knowing enough to make a final decision. So there's a DCO issue here, which should be cleaned up. But besides that, anybody here on this call have insight into group add over add user -- group?
Didn't even know add user had that flag.
It depends on the operating system.
I think that's probably an okay thing. Yeah, I think Nathan's right. There's like group add, and then there's sometimes add group, or it depends on your Linux distro. And I only say that because like it might even exist on the Mac, but it is less portable than we'd all like to think, which means that I think the fix is a little clearer. And it's just as portable as I think the other one, which is it's mostly portable.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you would want to err on whichever one was more portable.
Do we have at this point in the whatever the process is, like, is Habitat there? at this point?
It seems from those lines of context, it's basically saying now make sure the hab user's on your machine, which is now like, so I think I see where you're going with this, Nathan.
I'm going hab package exec core busybox user add dash G dash capital D.
So if that happens to be around, yeah. Habitat is an interesting beast, especially also in a company that does configuration management. At the moment, like Habitat and the supervisor is more in the mode of detect and fail. Like there's no user, so I can't do anything, versus like I've detected no user and I know how to fix it. Like we're not really in that game right now, because all of a sudden we need to know a lot more about exactly what platform you're on. So running a user add out of a Habitat package on Linux is probably all right, although it may be more portable, but it might just be easier to show like the commands people already know. Like there is no magic to adding a user. I was just reading what that note is. What I would probably have added is as a note would be like, it might be the right command for you on your operating system, but just check your operating system's documentation for how to do it. Like we could do that. I'm just worried about putting Habitat magic in front of them when like there is no magic. Just create a user.
Yeah, I mean, all we're trying to do here is just say, look, you need a hab user and group, and whatever operating system, if you're using Habitat, whatever operating system that you're on, you're going to know how to.
Like, yeah, for example, on Ubuntu, that's usually what I do is I'll like constrain my example to something I know. Like, for example, on Ubuntu, you could run : and then if those two things work on Ubuntu, then I know. So somebody's running CentOS, they'll need to kind of look it up. Or I think it is different on CentOS. I can never remember.
Yeah, my impression is that we should just change this. We should just change this note down here.
However, I do like the fix because I didn't know add user could add a group, and it's a little less clear what's going on. I like that the fix is like group add, so I know we're adding a group.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So yeah, I generally I like this one. It's at least it feels to me marginally better because it's clear for me as a reader what the heck's going on.
I guess the only reason why like we wouldn't want to approve this is if group add was much less portable than.
Yeah, I might be wrong. I have a feeling that this group add is probably slightly more portable than.
Okay.
It depends if add user always has that flag or not in every place. That's I think why I didn't know you could do that. Most of the time I would have tried group add myself, but.
Oh, okay. I see.
I always kind of view them as like paired couples, those two commands.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, well, yeah, we can't accept this here. I'm going to put a note just about the DCO here.
Yeah. Otherwise, though, I think we'd be okay to merge. I think once we do our, like, if we were to do a pass on that page, slightly tweaking, constraining the example, or adding a note to say, you might need to look up. And if we had a pro tip section, if that doesn't overcomplicate it, could be like, if you want to be super portable and do it with Habitat package, just write this.
Yeah, I mean, having that hab user, like, that's definitely a thing that you have to do because a lot of the core plans run as hab. You can't really, if you're using any of the core plans as services, you can't really opt out of that by like setting package service user to nobody on all. Like, you're gonna run into having to have a hab user.
Yeah, and we had looked at Nobody or Triple W or one of those users, but they were not nearly as portable anyways. So I think that's why we just sort of went with that.
Yeah, so I'm working on a plan where in the run hook it creates the hab user. It starts as root, creates a hab user in the run hook, and like so I mean, like
I think if that's probably Interesting. That's probably okay. What I want to keep looking for, and I forget to do it in the supervisor code, is what I want is if my package tells me I need this user, what I kind of want the supervisor to do is at least check to make sure that user and group exists. And if they don't, let me know. Like it might not be able to fix it, but at least if it can detect and report, that would be useful. Right now, I'm not so sure we do that.
I think it's so if
No, I think it does.
Oh, maybe we did finally fix it. That's awesome.
Yeah, if you don't have a head user and you try to have start something like core Postgres or something, it'll tell you like I can't start because there's no
right. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Let's move. We go. Here's another one of Ryan's. Add disable callbacks helper. Oh, I remember.
Yes, I have a browser window open somewhere. I started a comment on that, and I have no idea where it is.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think maybe it was in a stand-up or something where you were just orally pontificating on this.
Like I think at the moment we probably don't strictly need this around. I only say this because with the example of overriding those callbacks, we shouldn't need to do that anymore. So making package source optional now eliminates that need to do that boilerplate of returning those three things with return zeros. And now that it's out as a stable release, I kind of still have that on my backlog to like go through all of our plans and places and eliminate that so that users never see that again and they never have to know about that and remove it from our docs. It's just an anti-pattern that we never cleaned up before we launched. I guess the other thing that I'm more comfortable with is if you don't need to do a default thing in the plan, explicitly overriding it is 3 lines and really clear what's going on. I don't need to know about another function necessarily to do it. I just know how to, I know how to do a return. So I don't know. I mean, for the moment, I guess I'm a little uncomfortable adding that in, not necessarily knowing what the follow-up might be. It's just something that we need to support. And I'm not sure if it came up a lot, maybe there'd be a reason for it. But what I would rather solve is why do users need to constantly opt out of defaults? Like maybe we got something wrong. And I would rather fix something wrong rather than giving people, once you've basically said, I don't want this, it's kind of hard for them to opt in later.
Okay. Maybe you can comment.
Yeah. If I don't find that comment, I'll start it over again.
Okay. All right. Cool. Let's see. This is work in progress. Ah, yes, Adam's talked about this. We don't need to discuss that. This is something that I think Ian is in the middle of adding the blog. These were both do not merge. And what is this? Recurse in the subdirectories inside config. This is fairly old too. This is currently the supervisor blows up. Is this even mergeable? I wonder. This is so old. Okay, let's see. Currently, the supervisor blows up when there is a directory inside a package's config directory. This change adds the ability for the supervisor to create any subdirectory. I see. Okay, interesting.
I actually forgot to follow up with Nolan. I think he landed this before we spent like a week or two on site together. And I forgot to follow up with him.
Yeah, it'll definitely need a rebase.
Yeah.
What's another one?
It's 1236. Yeah, I mean, we're even adding to like these units or these functional tests. I don't even think we've been. I don't even know how the functional tests are in right now. They've been turned off from before I joined the team. I know. Oh, this is, yeah, in fact, this is mostly test stuff. Where's the actual?
I think the meat of it was in the or package mod.
Yeah.
And I believe this is yeah, no longer at this particular location. I could bet. But it's essentially when now the service, like the internals in the supervisor, when the service starts and it creates all those directories and then does its rendering files and copying them. It's probably like roughly in that area.
Yeah, I think I just hate doing this to somebody, but I'm just gonna say, you know, we can take a look at this if he wants to rebase and clean up the merge. And I mean, it sounds like it's something. I mean, it does sound to me. Does it sound to everybody else like this is functionality worth pulling in? I mean, I definitely think that's something that
it's probably useful. Yeah. At this point, or at the point where this was probably submitted, it was hard to know how much stuff exactly goes into that config directory. So there has been work on kind of like, you know, at build time what goes in there, and then at runtime what sort of like comes out. So we understand that directory a little bit better now. But yeah, I'd be really interested though to know if this has come up for other people. Like I don't see a lot of cross links back to this.
Right.
I mean, people have found it, but I wonder if they've been bit with this problem of having like how much stuff goes into that config directory for people. Because I think our assumption is probably not too many things. But if it turns out there's this whole tree of things that might be rendered over, that would be interesting to know about.
Man, this call got really small all of a sudden. We broke.
Oh yeah, I guess we're probably hitting our hour limit. That's probably why.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna just leave it at this for now, and if we don't get any response, we can close it out. I mean, I don't see this as being something so high priority that that we'd want to prioritize this, you know, within the team. But if somebody wanted to, you know, volunteer and either clean this up or add it separately, I think it would be welcome. All right. Well, I think we can wrap up at this point. I think we've pretty much gone through all the PRs that are worth looking at and all the issues. So cool. Great. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and I guess until next week. Now I just got to figure out how to turn this off.
Have a good weekend and be nice to your mother.
Wait. This is Mother's Day weekend?
No.
Okay.
I had the same thought.
Okay. You got a few weeks still.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Stop.